Welcome to Migoyugo. Today, we're going to build a brand new puzzle. If you hadn't noticed, we now have 76 puzzles on the Migoyugo website. So if we go up here to puzzles, you're going to see there are 76 puzzles, and we have easy, medium, hard, and expert. And the 76th puzzle here, I just created that puzzle yesterday and added it to the list. This is a what I call an expert puzzle. It's a very difficult puzzle to solve. But I've had some people ask me, how do you create puzzles? Do you take positions from games? Well, I can do that. But what I like to do, what I prefer to do, is just kind of start from scratch. And usually I say, here is the end position. And then I work back from that. And once I found something that I think looks like an interesting puzzle, then I throw in a whole bunch of red herrings and false trails and um, just extra pieces that make it more difficult to find the solution. So I'm going to give you uh, an example of how I create a puzzle, just in case you were curious. And if you want to create your own puzzle, you can do the same and you can give it to me because I have something that you probably don't have, and that is a puzzle checker, a verifier that will tell me, do we have a unique IGO in either 2 or 3 or 4 moves? Because to me, I think it's important to make sure that the puzzle has only one unique solution. If it's an I go in 3 or an I go in 4, I don't want there to be 3 different ways to get there. Well, we know white is going to win. It could do this, it could do that, but it's going to win. I want you to have to find the exact one and only solution. So let me show you how we do that. So I have I'm just going to change things a little bit. I have a puzzle maker that I've created, and this is in my admin. So in admin, I can see all the users, I can see the game history, I can see analytics of the websites, but I can also create and manage the puzzles. So if I go to manage puzzles, I know you can't see everything because my face is covering it, but these are all 76 puzzles. So for example, if I go into puzzle number 76, I can edit that. It will show me the puzzle, and I can remove a piece, or I can take a black Migo and I can add that piece back in. So this is where I will create, it's kind of my sandbox, and um, I'm going to cancel the edit, and I'm going to go into manage puzzles. No, I'm not going to go into manage puzzles. I'm going to go back to create a puzzle. So here we are. I'm in create a puzzle. So I'm going to enter the puzzle title, and let's say white to move, I go in 4. I mean, it's just I've made some of these. So I'm going to choose to have white move first, and I am going to create an I go in 4. I'm going to create a hard or an expert puzzle. I could create an easy puzzle. You know what? Let's create an easy one. Let's not do that. Let's say white to move, I go in 2. And let's call this a very easy puzzle. So I'll give you an example. If I click on the white Migo or the black Migo or the white Yugo or the black Yugo, what I do is I just drop those pieces in. So I can drop white Yugos in, I can drop black Yugos in, I can drop white Migos in, whoops. And if I click on a piece that's already there, it will disappear. And I can add some black Migos. Anyway, this isn't normally how I create a puzzle, but this gives you an idea of how you could do it. And I just stop there and I think, okay, a do I have an I go in 2? Well, what could I do? I could create a you go here or you go here on E6, and I kind of work my way through this. But another way for me to check, do I have an I go in 2 or an I go in 3 or I go in 4, is I've created this. It's an analysis of the position. And when I click on this button, it's going to tell me, well, I'll read it to you. It looks for an I go for white in this case to move that can force. So I can choose white or black to move. I'm going to choose white. For a forcing, I go in 2, 3, or 4 moves against every defense with only one way to do it. An I go available immediately, so an I go in 1 is not a puzzle, and neither is one with more than one answer. So these are the instructions that I've created for the program to determine. So if I click Analyze Position, let's see what happens. I don't think there is a forced I go for white, but let's find out. So it's analyzing, it's working through every defense. Hard positions can take several minutes, it says. So it says no forced I go within 4 moves. So it could be an I go in 2, it could be an I go in 3, it could be an I go in 4. It says attacker white, 2 moves look promising, but lose. It surged 57,857 positions. And it tells me adjust the position until one side can force the I go. Okay, I can do that. So why don't we go here, remove that, replace it with, um, sorry, it's not going to permit me to put a white piece here because that would create a line of 4. So what if we said, okay, here we go. If we put a Yugo here, if white plays on F4, then we're going to have 2 crisscrossing DPAs. I don't like it. Much too easy. So let's remove that piece. What if white was to play here? So if white plays here now, if white plays on F4 now, then we have a DPA. So let's just leave this and let's do an analysis. Forced I go into with a single solution. Attacker, white, forces an I go into. Winning first move is F4. Well, we know that. It's right here. The line is F4 for white, then B plays G5. Well, G5 blocks, but C1 could be the same, and then white plays C1. So if I say use this line as the solution, what happens is it creates that line. And I can save this puzzle. Now, do I want to save this puzzle? Yeah, sure. Why not? So let's save the puzzle. It's now saved. So if I go into Manage Puzzles, and I can see all of the puzzles I've created, it has just created number 77, white to move, I go into, it calls it medium. And I don't agree that it's a medium puzzle. So let's go back to edit this and let's change the, well, sorry, it defaulted to medium. I didn't change that. So the description, I'm going to say, what move I go into? Forced, I go in 2 moves. And this is easy. So let's go back to update the puzzle. And let's go back to manage puzzles and let's scroll down. And what we see for number 76. Sorry, number 77, pardon me. White to move, I go into easy. And I say forced I go into moves. So there you go. We've created a new puzzle. So if I go back to Migoyugo, the website, and I refresh the page, how many puzzles do I have now? I have 77 puzzles. So let's go here. So this is white to move, I go into, and I say easy. Well, let's say someone came along and said, well, what if I go here on E6? If I was to create an I go here, then I know that this Migo is going to disappear, but black is going to, well, let's try it. No, it's an incorrect move. Well, what if I do the same thing down here? What if I create an I go on E2? Then again, black is going to block. Where would I go from there? No, it doesn't like it. What if I create an I go here? So if I go here and create an I go on F4, I know that C1 is going to disappear. That leaves me a DPA. I have 3 Yugos in a row. Black's going to have to block at both ends, which it can't do. Okay, so let's try that move. Yes. Yes, so black blocked on G5. Black could have blocked on C1, but in a DPA, he's going to choose one or the other. And voila, we have a winner. Congratulations, you found the correct solution. So there we go. We have a new puzzle. It's an easy puzzle, a very easy puzzle. But let's go back to the puzzle maker, and instead of what happened here, let's go back to the puzzle maker. Sorry, manage puzzles, manage puzzles, create puzzle, pardon me. So let's go back to the puzzle maker and let's create a new puzzle, but let's make this one a lot more challenging. Let's do an I go in 4. Let's say black is going to move first. So enter the puzzle title, black to move, I go in 4. There we go. That is what we are aiming for. So how am I going to create a difficult I go in 4? Well, we got to start with an I go, don't we? I'm going to take some black Yugos and I'm going to say, maybe I want an I go along one of the edges. Maybe I want it coming from the corner out toward the center. What if the last move played is going to be A1? What if the last move played by black is A1? We could do that. Well, if that's the case, then I have to get to this position. Never mind any other pieces that are going to be on the board. I have to get to this position. So maybe the last move I played, maybe this was not here. Maybe I had maybe I had Amigo here and here, and I had, let's say, a Yugo up here, and black played here. Okay, so if black was to create a Yugo here, then black is going to win in 1. Why can white not block that? Well, white has a pie line. Well, white can't have a pie line in the corner. So you know what? I'm going to move these over. I'm going to move everything over 2 spaces. I have an idea. I'm going to say that white can't block because white has a pie line. So let's give white a pie line. And there we go. So white will not be able to prevent black from creating a Yugo on C1 because white has a pie line. Okay, so let's consider this. Now black to move, black is going to play here, and white has a Yugo here. So let's put a white Yugo on G5 so that black cannot create uh, a Yugo in that direction, can't create an I go by playing on G5. And what if we bring everything up 1? And then this pie line is here. And you know what? Let's leave it as it is for now. Okay, so at this point, it's black to move. Let's say here's the position, it's black to move. So black is going to play F4. Now it's white to play. White can't block on C1. Just so you know, I have programmed the game to do this if there is no way to prevent the opponent from winning in 1. So for example, if I did have a Yugo here, whoops, a black Yugo here on F4, and we know black is going to win in 1. We know black is going to play the best move and win on C1, but white can't block it. The game will automatically go to the top left-hand corner and play a random move. If A8 is blocked, or B8 is blocked, or C8 is blocked, it will simply just find the next available space. When it has no ability to stop an I go in 1, it will simply play a random move. So that's how it's programmed. So um, let's put, we can't do that now. Well, let's put this back here. So it's black to move. So how did we get into this position where it's black to move? And why didn't white stop that? Well, let's imagine that white had to prevent another IGO. Let's imagine that white had to block here on D8. And so let's imagine that black created this Yugo here using, no, yes. So black creates a Yugo here. White has to block on D8. Has to. Then black creates a Yugo on F4. White has to block on C1, but cannot. So that's one move for black, two moves for black, three moves for black. So right now we have an IGO in 3 for black. So let's add a little bit more. Why did white permit black to play on B7? Because black was going to get an IGO before that. So let's, a Yugo part, an IGO. So let's say that black had a Yugo here and here, and white has to block here. So black just created, black just, so I'm going to block that. So black just created this position by creating, so let's walk through this. It's black to play. Now okay, so here's where the game gets interesting. I've already set this up to fail because black could create a Yugo right now on F4. Black creates a Yugo on F4, black wins because C can't block, or white can't block on C1. So how did I get there? So let's say that white has an, okay, so here we go. Now this is where the puzzle creation gets interesting. I am going to put a white Migo here. And I'm going to say that right now black cannot play here because white is blocking. But at some point during this process, I have to make F4 disappear. How do I do that? So if black plays here, white blocks. I have to make this Migo disappear. So if black plays on G3 and creates a Yugo, white has to block on H3. Where was I going with this? Why can't I play here now? Right now? Hmm. If I play on, if I play on B6 now, I create a Yugo. White must block. White must block. It would be great if that would make this Migo disappear, but it doesn't. But it could make this piece disappear. Okay, so let's figure out a different way to get to this spot. So black plays, white blocks. When white blocks, it removes it removes I think I'm talking myself into a corner here. You know what? I'm just going to leave things exactly as they are and see if we have a forced position. Analyze this position. Do we have a forced IGO in 4 or less? There is no forced IGO within 4 moves. So we're not there. So black plays, white blocks. Okay, I've got to remove this white. Now let's analyze. Let's see what it says. There's a forced IGO in 2 with a single solution. And we know what that is. Black plays here on F4 and white cannot block. We know that. So now we've got to back up 2 moves. Black can't play here. What if we change this Yugo for a Yugo here? And we say black is going to create the Yugo here, but it's being blocked currently by this Migo. So we want to go here, then white blocks here. We're close. There's just too many angles going on here. So black plays here, black plays here, white has to block. Then, okay, well, let's just take this out. So black playing here right now doesn't help us because we need a Yugo. We need a Yugo. So if I was to play on F2, I create a pylon and I block that. If I play on E3, that doesn't help me because that isn't a Yugo and I can't win on C1. But I can if I go here on B6, I create. What if I just kind of cheap out here and place this Migo? I create a Yugo on B6. White has to block. And now I have, no, I need to, yes, no. Okay, let's take this out and let's place Amigo here and here. Sorry, here and here. Now black plays, I get a Yugo. White has to block. Now I have these 3 pieces and I can create a Yugo. And white can't block. Okay. And this is going to be a terrible puzzle. Um, so right now, let's take this out and let's put a white Migo in here, which is blocking that position. So what if I have a Yugo here and white has to, no, white can't have a Yugo. It could have a Migo here. So, no, no, white doesn't have to block because that's a pi line. And I have to have this Yugo here. What if I put this down here instead? So now let's put the Migo here. So it's black to play. So I think I got something here. it's black to play. If black plays here, black creates a Yugo. White has to block on d6. That creates a Yugo. These Migos disappear, which opens up b6. Black plays. So now that's the second play for black. And I need a Yugo up here so that when this is open, black creates a Yugo, white has to block here. Now I have these three. There we go. Fingers crossed. Analyze position. Forced Igo in 2. C7 is first. So I can play here now. I can play here now. I see. So I play here now. White has to block here. Well, what if I make this a pi line? So now let's check it out. Forced Igo in 2. Black plays d6. Black plays d6, and that creates a DPA. Wow. What if I turn this into Amigo instead? Forced Igo in 2, but not a single solution. Oh my goodness, I'm getting myself all tied up in knots here. So I want to create what I wanted. What I wanted. I don't remember what I wanted. I wanted a, no, I can't do that. So let's remove that. I wanted a Yugo here. So it's black to play. It's black to play. So I want to finish off with a Yugo here. So I need to have something here. I need to have a piece here. So I need to remove this. So I need to put a Yugo here. And I need to have the Yugo. So if I play, this is how I make puzzles. If I create a Yugo on E5, white has to block with its own Yugo, which removes B6. Black. Okay, I think I'm good. Forced Igo in 2. Single solution. F5. It's a DPA. Can I change this? No. Can I change this to Amigo? Now it's analyzing. Come on. No forced Igo in 4. So no forced Igo in 4. Why not? If I play here, if I play E5, then white has to block. Then white has to block. White removes this. I create a Yugo. Why is that not a forced Yugo? And why is that not a forced Igo? Why? So let me take this position. So is black to move? I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go back to the board. I'm very confused. Starting player is black. So if black plays here, white must block. If black plays here, white must block. I lost a piece. I'm missing D4. How did I lose D4? I lost D4. That has to be a Yugo. That's why. Okay, this has to be a Yugo. So we're going to reset this. We're going to import that position. And in this case, D4 has to be a Yugo. Did that work? Forced I go in 2. We're back to now E5. Forced I go in 2. How is that a forced I go in 2? E5. Black plays D6. Black plays D6. I see. I see. So if I play here, if black blocks, yeah. Okay, so let's remove this. Forced I go in 2. Black plays E5 because it's creating these two. So turn this into Amigo. Forced I go in 3. Black plays E5. White blocks on D6. Black plays C3. And then, yeah. So I need to prevent black from being able to do this, but that has to be a Yugo. So what if this, that has to be a Yugo. I don't think I need that piece, do I? Forced I go in 3. Now we've got more options. Winning first move is D5. So if I create a Yugo here on D5, yeah, he's going to get a. Can I remove this? Wow, this is just taking way too long. Sorry, guys. I No forced I go within 4 moves. Okay. So I wanted the first move to be E5 so that white has to block, so that black goes here. and then I create this. So why does this not work? Forced diagonal in 3 with a single solution. Okay, I have a forced diagonal in 3 with a single solution. It is e5. Maybe I'll just stick with this. It is e5. Then white plays d6 to block. Then black plays c3. Then white plays f6 because I have a Yugo here. So I'm basically creating 2. And if I make this into a Migo, no, that has to be a Yugo. And that has to be a Yugo. Boy, I want to make this into a I go in 4, but I'm just unable to from this position with e5 as the first move. So e5 creates a Yugo on e5. These two Migos disappear. White has to block. I create a Yugo here. White has to block. But the problem is I can still create a Yugo here, which gives me the potential for an I go on b4. How do I eliminate that? I don't. Oh, I just don't know how. Maybe if I block with a white somewhere, if I put in a white Migo here, does that solve the problem? Forced I go in 4 with a single solution. Thank goodness. So now I'm eliminating this. So starts with e5. Yes, that's what I wanted. Use this line as the solution. So I'm calling this black to move. I go in 4. So forced I go in 4. I don't know what to put as the description apart from you watched me make this puzzle on YouTube. So let's save the puzzle. This should be puzzle number 78. So let's go back to this. Let's refresh. Let's go into puzzles. Puzzle number 78. We have an expert puzzle. 78. Black to move. I go in 4. Expert. Forced I go in 4. Where shall I go? Well, what if I wanted to try this? Does that help me? No. That's not the move. What if I wanted to go here? What if I wanted to go here? Well, let's try this. And then this. And then this. Okay, so we jumped all over the board. I'm going to call this a medium puzzle. I don't think this is all that hard. Once you find the first move, everything kind of falls into place. So let's just go back here and let's go to the puzzle maker and let's change this from, sorry, let's manage puzzles. Let's go back to puzzle number 78. Let's edit that. Let's call this, I'm going to call it a medium. It's not really even hard because once you find this first move, e5, everything else falls into place. So we're going to call this a medium. We are going to update that and we are going to close the puzzle maker and we are going to be back on migoyugo.com where we're going to refresh and we're going to look at our puzzles and go to puzzle number 78. So this now what I can do is make it harder by throwing some red herrings. I could, but you know what? You've got a couple of places where you could create a Yugo. You've got here and here. you know what, let's just leave this as a medium puzzle. There you go. That's how I make a puzzle. If you have an idea for a puzzle, please let me know. If you would like to buy a Migoyugo set, just go to Get a Set and you can get your own Migoyugo set. It's $35 Canadian plus shipping. If you're in Canada or the United States, I'll get it to you. If you don't know how to play the game, click on the tutorial. If you'd like more information about the rules, click on the rules. If you want to see your own stats, here are my own stats. These are all the games I've ever played. Anyway, you get the idea. Join me at migoyugo.com to play the game, to play the puzzles, to have some fun, to meet other people, to play against others. And anyway, thanks for watching. Send me some puzzles.